There's a plant growing in ditches and along roadsides all across the United States right now. A plant so common that people pull it out and throw it in the trash. It costs around $2 at any nursery or gardening store in the country. And yet, it can purify water better than a $200 filter. Not almost the same, not comparable, measurably, scientifically better. It can remove bacteria, it can remove viruses, it can remove sediments, it can turn brown river water into clear water in less than an hour. The United Nations documented this in 1983. The World Health Organization confirmed it again in 2008. And yet, the water filter industry, valued at more than $4.5 billion, has spent decades making sure you never hear its name. They didn't forget this plant existed. That would have been an accident. They buried it, and that was a decision. This is the story of Moringa, or oleifera, what it does to water, and why the concept of free, purified water forever was never meant to reach you. Welcome back to Forbidden Camping, where we open the vaults. If you're not subscribed yet, press subscribe and turn on the bell now. Here we uncover the knowledge that the industry preferred to hide. In the year 1817, a British Army surgeon named James Kempthorne was stationed in colonial India. They did not have access to potable water. The soldiers were not dying in combat. They were dying from contaminated water. Dysentery, cholera, diseases that turned seemingly clean water into something deadly. The local population took him into the forest and showed him a tree so common that British colonizers had ignored it for years. They crushed the seeds, then mixed the powder into the water. In just 45 minutes, the water began to visibly transform. In 1 hour, bacterial levels had dropped by approximately 99%. Kempthorne recorded this in his field notes in 1819. The British Army archived the report and then forgot about it. 160 years passed before someone studied it again. Then, Dr. Samia Alazaria John at the University of Khartoum picked up where Kempthorne left off. She conducted the first modern scientific studies. In 1981, she published her analysis of moringa seeds as a purification agent, and the scientific community began to pay attention. Her results were extraordinary. Moringa seeds contain what scientists call cationic proteins. These proteins carry a strong positive electrical charge when dissolved in water. Bacteria, viruses, and suspended particles in water carry a negative charge. Opposite charges attract strongly at the molecular level. The proteins from moringa bind to the contaminants. The contaminants clump together. This process is called flocculation. The particles become heavier, sink, settle at the bottom of the container, and the water left above becomes much cleaner. This same principle is used in almost all modern water treatment plants, but municipal plants use aluminum sulfate, a synthetic industrial chemical. That chemical must be manufactured, transported, and purchased in every treatment cycle, and it also produces toxic sludge as a byproduct. Moringa achieves the same result. It grows anywhere, costs almost nothing, leaves no chemical residue, and produces no toxic waste. In 1983, the United Nations published a full report on this discovery. The World Health Organization did the same years later. Both institutions described moringa as one of the most promising low-cost solutions for water treatment in the world. I've gathered all the information that the filter industry never wanted you to see. Everything is inside the complete Forbidden Camping Vault. Step-by-step guides to purifying water with moringa, emergency systems that cost less than $1, water sourcing techniques used by special forces across 3 continents, ancient mineral purification methods predating modern chemistry, field-tested survival protocols that require no equipment, more than 10 complete guides gathered in one place. The link is in the description, or you can scan the code on screen. But don't leave. The video is just getting started. Now let's look at what real data says about moringa. A single moringa seed contains enough active protein to treat approximately 1 liter of water when properly prepared. Researchers at the University of Ghana conducted field tests in 2012 using water from the Volta River during flood season. The results were impressive. Water turbidity dropped by 98.3%. E. coli bacteria were reduced by 91.1%. Total coliform contamination dropped by 97.8%. And these were not laboratory experiments with clean water. This was real river water under extremely contaminated conditions. Real moringa seeds, real river water, less than $2 in cost. A study published in the Journal of Water and Health in 2016 compared moringa directly with standard aluminum sulfate treatment. Moringa matched aluminum sulfate in turbidity removal, but outperformed the industrial chemical in total bacteria and left no detectable chemical residue in the treated water. The lead researcher described the result as scientifically extraordinary. So the obvious question arises, why isn't this in every camping store in the country? Why isn't it a standard part of military survival kits? Why has the EPA never officially certified moringa as a water treatment method? To understand this, you have to look at the size of the market. The global water filter industry generates approximately $4.5 billion. Brita, Life Straw, Sawyer, Katadyn, Berkey, Zero Water. Each company sells a device, then sells replacements, cartridges, filters, membranes. The model depends on the problem never being fully solved. Clean water must always have a recurring cost. Moringa grows in the soil, reproduces on its own, costs almost nothing. You can't build a subscription around a plant that anyone can grow. You can't charge replacements for a seed that multiplies itself. You can't patent a natural protein that has existed for thousands of years. The EPA approval process for a new treatment can cost up to $3 million. No Moringa farmer can pay that. No university has a financial incentive to do so. Only a corporation with a competing product could fund that approval, and no company that sells filters would do it. So Moringa remained documented by the UN, validated by the WHO, and buried in practice. Invisible in the United States, invisible in Europe, absent from almost all survival manuals. That is not an oversight, it is system architecture. Now, let's see how to use Moringa to purify water while camping. First, get dried Moringa seeds. They can be found online for less than price missing an original. Remove the outer shell. Crush the inside of the seed into a fine powder. For 1 liter of water, use approximately 1/4 teaspoon of that powder. Mix the powder with a little clean water to form a paste. Then add that paste to the contaminated water. Shake vigorously for a full 2 minutes. This activates the proteins and distributes them throughout the volume of water. Then stir slowly for 5 to 10 minutes. This is where the flocculation process begins. Then leave the container completely still for 30 minutes. Watch what happens. Sediments begin to fall to the bottom. The upper water becomes clear. After 30 minutes, pour the top 2/3 into another clean container. Now you have approximately 97% to 99% purified water. For maximum safety, boil the water after treatment. Moringa removes the biological load. Boiling removes any remaining microorganisms. The entire process requires no filter, no pump, no electricity, and costs almost nothing. This is the same method that UN teams used for decades in regions of sub-Saharan Africa. It works in rivers, it works in floods, it works in almost any natural water source. Dried seeds can be stored for up to 2 years without losing effectiveness. Incomplete line preserved. In seeds can treat hundreds of liters of water. No commercial survival kit comes close to that cost per liter. This knowledge did not disappear. Someone made sure it stayed buried. The UN published it, the WHO confirmed it, scientific journals documented it, and the filter industry kept selling. If this video opened something for you, subscribe now. Share this information with someone who might need it in a real emergency. Every person who learns this keeps this vault open, because buried knowledge always ends up rising to the surface. The next vault opens soon, and what's inside is even heavier.